The human body is impacted by a number of different factors. We're going to look at 4 of those factors in some detail today. And each of these factors has something we can call a tolerance limit. So the body can deal with a certain factor being within a certain range as long as it doesn't get to too high or too lower levels where normal bodily function will start to be impacted. So the first one is body temperature. If we look here at this scale, 37 degrees is going to be optimum body temperature. And the reason why it's optimum is because this is where optimum enzyme activity is going to occur. So this is the optimum temperature where enzymes will function and catalyze reactions. They'll start to slow if we get lower. They will start to denature if we get higher. So if we start to reach levels of 38.5, for example, we are going to see hyperthermia occurring, and levels of 45 degrees, death can occur. If we look at the other end of the scale, hypothermia will start to occur at temperatures around 35. We'll see 28 degrees leading to extreme levels of hypothermia. And then at the very lower end, 25 degrees can lead to death. So ultimately, the tolerance limit of temperature in humans is around 36 to 38 degrees. That's the sweet spot. That's where we want to stay. Now, if we are to look at water, the way that we can sort of measure a good level of water is via salt concentration in the blood. So if we've got around 0.9% sodium chloride levels in the blood, we know we're at a pretty good level as far as water inside of the body. So if we are to get to a stage where we've got too much water, the issue that's going to occur there is swelling of cells. Especially in humans or animal cells without a cell wall, this can lead to the bursting of cells, which is going to be a problem. If we have too little water, we can see shriveling of cells might occur, and this is going to have a negative impact on their function in general and a number of different functions that the cell's trying to carry out. CO2 levels in blood are also important, and we want CO2 levels in blood to be between 5 and 6%. Now, if we have a situation where there is too much CO2 in the blood, what's going to happen is blood pH becomes acidic. And with highly acidic blood pH levels, the body is not going to be able to function. And eventually, if we get to levels above 10%, death can be the result. So we don't want CO2 levels to get too high in the blood because it will lead to acidic blood and then eventually death. But it's also important to know that if we have too little CO2, it can have an effect on breathing rate. So it is important that we do stay within that lower level of the tolerance limit as well, because the level of CO2 is one of the stimuli for breathing, inhaling and exhaling. So we want CO2 to be within a range of 5 to 6%. Finally, blood glucose level. So blood glucose level we want to stay within around 75 to 95 milligrams for every 100 milliliters of blood. A little bit of a complex number there, but that's our tolerance limit. 75 to 95 milligrams per every 100 milliliters of blood. If blood glucose levels become too high, then that's going to lead to something called hyperglycemia. Complex word, more commonly known as diabetes. So if people have blood glucose levels too high, then they might need to take insulin because there's an issue with being able to regulate the absorption of glucose into the blood. Now this can cause things like breathing issues, blurred vision and nausea, and overall is going to have a really negative effect on the body. Also, we can see blood glucose levels being too low at times, which is hypoglycemia. which similarly is going to have a negative effect on the body and is something that needs to be acted upon to get back within that tolerance level of 75-95 milligrams per 100 millilitres of blood. So those four factors, blood glucose level, CO2 in blood, water, and body temperature, are all things that need to be within a certain limit inside of the body to ensure optimal bodily function.